outside the plastic bag store. It's very loud out here, so why don't we go inside? Okay, here we are inside the plastic bag store. We're going to give you a little tour. So yes, like you guessed, all of these things are plastic bags. This kale is mostly from LL Bean delivery bags. Bell peppers were a real challenge. So many curves. This was actually like a yellow plastic tarp I found in a dumpster construction site, and we turned those into carrots. A lot of these orange bags actually came from Toys R Us. Limes, lemons, citrus, apples. You know, we put a little bit of straw in there as a stem. The plastic bag store, it looks like a regular grocery store situated in a storefront, but everything is made out of plastic bags and trash that we pulled out of the garbage and washed ourselves. But everything inside the plastic bag store transforms into a performance space, and there is an entire narrative that spans the ancient past and the present day and the far-off future, and sort of explores the idea of the foreverness of plastic. We have my personal favorite, the Bagarino Pizza. It's pepperoni flavored, and it's not delivery, it's plastic bags. And this is like a frozen seafood dinner, and this is stuff that you might find in the ocean now instead of fish. A flip-flop, a bunch of caps, and some straws, garnished with a lemon. This is Bago breakfast bags, hot melty bags in the morning. Wake up! This is Natural Valley free range. They were free range because we just found them on the street. These bags were not raised in captivity, they were just loose bags.
How long did it take you to assemble all of these things and put all of the inventory together?
To create the inventory, it took about a year. And I collected bags from friends and family members. I had people save things. I rescued bags from the street. I pulled bags from the trash, pulled them from recycling bins. And then, we designed all of the packaging. We had to wash every bottle and we label them. And so that process, probably took a solid year. All right, that leads us to cereal aisle. Caps and such, yucky shards. You can hear the shards being yucky in there. Like this one has a little maze where you can get the sea turtle into the ocean through the beach. That one definitely bums me out all the time. Bits of plastic crap, another favorite of mine. Graham-colored bags, mostly from Home Depot, because that's where the graham-colored bags come from.
And I know at one point you had a point system for which were the most desirable bags in terms of color or texture or otherwise.
Definitely certain items are harder to find and more covetous, certain rare colors. I'd never walk past a red or yellow plastic bag on the street without picking it up. Some items took a long time, but when you just need white plastic bags, it's incredibly easy. So now we're inside the freezer. And this is the ice cave, we call it. But all of the ice, of course, is made from thousands of plastic bags. It was surprising and sadly easy to find this many plastic bags. I think we built this section in about a week or two, and we were able to find this many used plastic bags in New York very quickly.
Through working with you and working on this project, and then also learning more about the plastic bag ban that went into effect in New York in March, I did pick up certain facts and figures, and one of them was that in New York State we go through 23 billion bags a year, which is a really hard number just in terms of its scale to process. And so one of the things I love about this project and the way that you work is that you very purposefully didn't want facts and figures up and around the store or as a handout when people left.
I didn't want to necessarily just overwhelm people with statistics, but more just wanted to create a kind of familiar, visually tactile experience that they could relate to or understand in a more visceral way than just a bunch of numbers. So this is the plastic time machine. So you put your plastic item in here, and then you enter a date and you say, I want to see what that bottle is going to look like in the year 3000. And then you come down here and you open this up, and it hands it right back to you and says, it will look the same. Plastic doesn't decompose.
A lot of people come in and leave this project assuming that you yourself are plastic free. Is that the case?
I cannot claim to be plastic free, but I wish that I could. It's incredibly challenging to be plastic free. If anyone who's tried knows, It's so ingrained in all of our lives, and there's many instances where you don't have a choice. And often that choice is coming from a place of privilege. It costs more money to shop at organic grocery stores, and there's an investment level of all of your canvas bags and all of your various reusable things, which is, there's a whole market and fetishization of all these objects. It's not really available to everybody. My aim is not to make people feel bad. My aim is holding up a mirror and kind of just highlighting the absurdity of all of this and just fueling the fire of public outrage a little bit, because I think ultimately, these changes have to come on a policy level, they have to come from the manufacturers, and those things aren't going to happen until it's unfashionable or undesirable to have single-use disposable plastic products. And we have a couple kinds of bottled water. My favorite is the Pacific Gyre water, which is plastic particle water. And we also have polluted spring water.
So while you're fueling the outrage, at the same time you also employ humor pretty frequently throughout your work.
Humor's always been an important part of my work, but I think definitely in this show in particular, when you're dealing with something that can feel very overwhelming and sad and these big heavy concepts, I think humor it's like a release valve a little bit for the audience, because these feelings can build up and it kind of releases the pressure a little bit. It also helps the audience trust me a little bit. If they can laugh, then they feel more at ease, and then you can also sneak in the big ideas that way. It's just kind of a survival mechanism. Without it, we would be lost. Let's head over here to the magazine section. The first magazine I made was Bags, which is more of an adult kind of magazine. There's beautiful, sexy beach bag photos inside. This is Bagsmopolitan for the fashion-minded. This is on the cover here is polyethylene and polypropylene, fashion icons. Bag Appetit with some of our cupcake recipes on the cover, and Bags Illustrated, which I don't need to explain.
The intention is to bring the show around the country, around the world. What do you think is special about having it in Times Square?
Times Square is the heart of New York, and it's also the center of capitalism and branding and America and consumerism, and so it felt like it fit very much in here. There's so much branding and signage and advertising as a part of this project, so it's very fun to have those things in context. It's also where I had originally envisioned the project being, for that very reason, and I had kind of abandoned that dream because it just didn't seem feasible until I hooked up with the Times Square Alliance, and that made it possible.
Back in March, when we were getting ready to present this project before the pandemic hit, it was a live puppet performance.
So we reimagined the project as a film, and it was actually a really fun experience and very creatively fulfilling to turn it into a film. And I think the way that we've embedded the film in different parts of the store and still used all of the ways that the sets transform, that it still is a similar immersive experience. I'll show you a couple of puppets from the film. So this is Helen. And Helen is a custodian at the Metropolitan Museum. She lives in the present. And she takes 3 people to operate normally. There's someone on her hand and head, and then there's normally someone else on her feet. But yeah, she lives in the present and is obsessed with the ancient Greek vases of the past.
It's a real pity what we've done to the place. I wish I could do more, but I am but a humble custodian.
She writes a message to the future, which she drops into a bottle. This is Crocodile, is how we say his name. And he lives in the far-off frozen future, and he discovers Helen's message in a bottle, which he then misinterprets and believes that she was the most valued customer, the most valued practitioner of the ancient customs.
It is unclear whether the robot wars or the Great Melt caused the collapse of the customers.
Crocodile, again, is supposed to be operated by 3 people, so me manipulating him isn't quite as lifelike as he normally is. So this is the museum that he built.
So as you guys know, the ancient customers, they lived thousands of years ago. And since then, we have discovered millions of their artifacts, several of which you're about to see in our museum.
Is there any final thoughts or message you want to share about what you hope the plastic bag store imparts for people?
I just kind of wanted to place us in the context of human history because sometimes I certainly feel really disconnected from that, especially when I go to a museum.
Please make sure you don't miss the collection of letter carriers. At the end there, this was pre-email. As you can see, our collection of sexual devices is some of the best in the country. Other museums, they don't have such a collection, so we count ourselves as very lucky.
We actually really are a part of like a long lineage of people, and the things we do now affect people in the future, and everything that we're making isn't going anywhere, and someone's going to find it and they can misinterpret what it means. So I'm interested in giving people context.